Imagine you have multiple tracking systems across your organization. Indoor ultra-wideband or Bluetooth. Outdoor you have GPS to track trucks or cars. And then also you have RFID to track other things. But what if they all speak a different language? How do you combine them into one single usable system? That is exactly what Omlox, and more specifically the Omlox Hub, is built for. Before we get into the hub, let's zoom out. What is Omlox? Omlox is an open standard for real-time location systems, or RTLS, focused on interoperability. It's driven by a global consortium of international players, including technology providers, research institutions, or just industrial companies. It has strong roots in Europe, especially in Germany, but it is a global initiative. The idea came from a simple problem. Location technologies today are fragmented. Ultra-wideband, Bluetooth, GPS or RFID, they all live in their own ecosystem, separated from each other. And that's exactly what Omlox tries to solve, to bring them together under one single standard. My name is Samuel van der Velde. I'm the founder and the CTO of Pozyx, and with my company we're actively contributing to the specification of the Omlox Hub. So what exactly is the Omlox Hub? Well, think of it as a standardized integration layer. It sits in between your tracking technologies on the one side and your tracking applications on the other side. So instead of integrating with each system separately, you just integrate once with the hub. It normalizes the data in one standardized API. And so if you understand the API, you really understand the Omlox Hub. You can find the API on the website of Omlox, but today in this video, we will break all the elements of the API down for you here so you can understand. So which type of companies is the Omlox Hub actually built for? Well, first you have enterprises, companies that are already using a number of location technologies across their organization. They can deploy an Omlox Hub by themselves or have it managed through another service or provider. They can use that to connect all of their location technologies together in one hub and then have one unified stream of location data coming out. That location data can then be connected to different apps within the organization, and you have just one source of truth, one pane of glass for your organization. The advantage you have there is you have no vendor lock-in, because you can easily switch out your location technologies without really impacting the location applications that are living on top of that. A second type of organization would be the solution providers. They would be providers of applications that are leveraging location data. So with the hub, they can just connect to an API and get that data in their application without having to develop unique interfaces to each different location vendor out there. It's not only people that are building apps themselves, it can also be large applications that just want to ingest location data like ERP systems, WMS systems or MES systems. So the advantage for them is really the faster development and the scaling across an ecosystem where you can say, we can accept any Omlox Hub and just ingest that data. A third type of organization would be the technology providers. These are the vendors of RTLS systems or GPS asset trackers or even RFID. They can also leverage the Omlox Hub by making their system Omlox compliant, meaning that they can use the Omlox APIs to feed the data into an Omlox Hub. So in summary, the key idea of the Omlox Hub is that you combine or bring together all of these type of organizations, being the data producers, the data consumers, and the system owners together in one unified standard. Now, let's break down the main concepts in the Omlox Hub. Well, first, let's talk about trackables and location providers. So trackables are actually the things you actually want to track. It can be an asset, a forklift, a tool, or even a person. The location provider, on the other hand, is the physical tag that you would attach to a person or an asset to track it. It can be an ultra-wideband tag, a Bluetooth tag, or could it even be a very big GPS tracker. Most cases, tags could be permanently attached to an asset, but that's not always the case. For that reason, Omlox Hub has deliberately separated the trackables from the location provider. And this allows you to support a number of operational use cases that are very important. It allows you to do seamless swapping of tags when the battery is dead, for example. It also allows you to recycle tags when you only want to temporarily track something. For example, in a manufacturing process, you can have a manufacturing order that goes through your factory and you want to track that from start to finish. Well, you can attach a tracker at the start of that process, and then at the end, you just take it off again. And this way you can recycle the tracker. A third one is to support people tracking, where people can just take a random tracker at the start of their shift to be tracked. And this can really help to improve the privacy concerns of tracking people, because by taking a random tracker, you can actually start tracking just a person and not a specific person, which helps to anonymize the data. It's even possible to attach multiple tags to a single trackable in case you want to combine technologies. Now, of course, there is an operational side to this. You have to still link these trackables and location providers together. And that's why it's typically useful to have something like a QR code or NFC on these tags to more easily scan the tag when you put them on a trackable. In some cases, it's even possible to fully automate that using the Omlox Hub APIs. Next, and this is really a core concept, are Omlox zones. Zones help to bring different location systems together in one unified coordinate system. In a sense, they are coordinate transformations. They take local coordinates, for example, inside a building, and transform them into GPS coordinates and even potentially a building floor. And this allows us to represent indoor positioning systems in a global map. So this is very critical if you want to have a uniform way of looking at your location providers. But that's not it. You can also support so-called proximity zones. And with the proximity zone, you can support location systems, or better, proximity systems that don't provide an accurate location. They can just detect that something was near. For example, an RFID gate, when you pass through it, it can only detect that you passed through it. Or Bluetooth scanners, which can detect Bluetooth tags within the proximity. So what proximity zones do, they can capture any scanning event and then transform that into a position using actually the position of the scanner. And this is represented in global coordinates. With all this being said, you can understand that GPS trackers, they are just working out of the box because the Omlox Hub already works with GPS coordinates, and the tracker just natively provides these coordinates as well. So in summary, an Omlox Hub can really bring indoor positioning systems, proximity systems, and global positioning systems together in one unified coordinate systems. And at the base of that are the zones. Finally, we have fences. Fences, or geofences, are virtual boundaries that you can draw on a map. And these fences can trigger alerts or actions whenever a trackable enters or exits that fence. And the Omlox Hub allows you to centrally manage all of these geofences in one place. But it's more than that, because in real systems, location data will be noisy. You will have inaccuracies and jitter, and that can result in wrong fence events if not taken care of. For example, imagine that you're at the boundary of a geofence and your tagging is laying still, but because of the jitter, you're sometimes inside and sometimes outside, and this will always be triggering these events. This is not something that you want. The Omlox Hub solved this by introducing deterministic fence rules. And these fence rules determine whenever an event needs to be triggered or not based on all kinds of parameters. And this results in reliable and stable fence events going forward. Now, with all of these topics covered, the final question is, how can we get the location data out? Well, obviously you have the standardized HTTP API that you can use, but the Omlox Hub has also standardized data packets and topics that you can use for WebSockets or MQTT. WebSockets is something that you can use to stream the data to a web application or a dashboard, whereas the MQTT is something that you would use in a event-driven IoT system. So whether you're building a UI or you're integrating into automation workflows, you can subscribe to the live updates very easily. So to wrap it up, Omlox is all about integrating and interoperability between different location systems. And the Omlox Hub is really that integration layer that sits in between your tracking technologies and your tracking applications. So if you're into RTLS or in industrial IoT, this model and the Omlox Hub could really be very interesting for you. At Pozyx, we also offer Omlox Hub implementations as part of our Pozyx platform. If you're interested in that, please check out our website at pozyx.io or just like and subscribe here on YouTube for more content.
Pozyx, accurate positioning.